And then half an hour later, I was in handcuffs, man, and we couldn't even call anybody. It was bad. It went from all bright and sunshine to, oh man, that day went sour real quick.
Hello and welcome, adventurers. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the podcast. Today, we're going to be journeying with Ritchie and Abigale on the road less traveled. They're part of Meets Around the World. Ritchie and his family are living the dream that many of us might have pondered. They bought a truck camper and decided to explore the world with a young child in tow. So they've turned their love of travel and food into an extraordinary lifestyle. And today, they're here to share their stories, experiences, and practical advice with us. So buckle up as we delve into their thrilling journey. Welcome, Ritchie and Abigale. How are you today?
Great.
Hi,
Thanks
David.
for having us here.
Hi, David. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Well, it's been a while since you and I actually saw each other, but to our listeners out there, can you start by telling us a little about your family and what inspired you really to buy a camper and travel around the world?
All right. You want me to take
Yeah,
this? Okay.
it was Richie's idea to
It
begin
was my
with.
crazy idea, of course. Yeah. I've always had a bit of a sense of adventure, and ever since Boy Scout, if you will. But, once I saw The Long Way Around with Ewan McGregor and Jolly Borman and The Long Way Down, and I was like inspired, like I wanted to travel around the world with lots of adventure, and yeah. And we started camping around Europe, like, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago with a trailer. And we loved it so much, and it was a natural progression, I guess, for me. And yeah, the only thing that was left to do was quit our jobs and up and go. Or maybe convince Abigail a little bit here and there.
We were on a plane back from Hawaii because I'm a teacher, and I would have 3 weeks vacation, and Richie would have 6 weeks vacation around Christmas. So we would always go somewhere exciting. And on the way back, he says, "I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go back to work. Let's do overlanding. Let's just quit our jobs." And I'm like, and he just didn't stop for about 3 months solid, going on and on and on, because when he has an idea, he becomes obsessed. So, and then I just said to him, "Well, I have a dream too. I would like to try for a baby. Can we not do both?" So
Well, I was very fast to agree to that. Yes.
Well, well, for our listeners out there, some of them listening, some of them watching us, where are you both from?
I'm from England, and Richie's from Switzerland, and we met in New Zealand.
And got married in London.
Yes.
So you're an international couple as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have you all been traveling so far?
Well, on this trip, we started out in the U.S., in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where we bought the vehicle, like a year and a half before we started the trip. My best friend lives in Phoenix, so we stored the camper there, went at Christmas for a little vacation and kitted it out, and then went back home to Switzerland where we lived and quit our job, sold everything, moved out into our trailer for the last 3 months, and came back. Oh, and with Zoe in tow, of course. She was 6 months old at the time. And then we started, like, it's now 4 years ago, October 19.
We're now in Chile, San Pedro de Atacama Desert, and it has taken us nearly 4 years to get here.
Yeah.
Most people do that in a year.
This is our 13th country on this trip. So we're pretty slow.
Hey, we love slow travel. I mean, we're a little faster than you guys have been.
Absolutely.
But it took us a year and a half to get there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But did you do a lot of camping before this switch to this lifestyle in Switzerland? Is that a big thing, camping?
Yes, not wild camping. We had what we call in England a caravan. I think you guys call it a trailer. And we bought it sort of about, as Richie said, 10 years prior to our trip. And we used to just go to campgrounds in Switzerland. It's very beautiful, but I don't
Well, we
know
did.
how wild camping is out there.
No, we did a bit of. I mean, we sometimes we would even pull our trailer to a campsite nearby and went to work from there. You know, it felt like vacation. So
we just loved the idea of living outdoors. Basically, we fell in
yeah.
love with that lifestyle, and
Well, I remember it started with us being a little fed up with eating out in our vacation. So we wanted to cook our own meals, like grill our own steaks, you know, because we're meat lovers. And I would always in a foreign country would always go to the meat aisle in the supermarket and check out their meats. And I was super bummed not to be able to buy the steaks and put them on the grill, right? so so yeah, that was kind of
Yes.
the idea behind it, and we started camping. But we did pull our trailer to Scotland, to England, to Spain, southern Spain, to
from
Switzerland to Austria, Germany, France, Holland. Oh yeah, we did a few great trips in those 10 years, and we loved it. And as I said, this is a natural progression, and now with 4-wheel drive and go anywhere, beautiful.
Yes. And you mentioned, was it the long way around or the long way up that inspired you?
It was the long way around. That was the first film or
Around.
season they made. Yeah, that was like 20 years ago, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. My favorite was the long way up inspired us for this trip, except we're going backwards
the
from the way they
opposite.
did it.
That was the
Uh,
latest. It came
yeah.
out on Apple TV when we were already on the road in the States, and I watched it. That was with the electric bikes, right?
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, totally
Yep.
different thing with those
Yeah.
bikes. A lot of problems,
Oh
but
yeah. Well, they had a good support team.
yes, yeah, they did. So, Richie, how did you go about preparing for this change? Kitting out the vehicle, doing all that, making sure that it was what you wanted and it was going to sustain the way you wanted to live.
All right. Well, that was I have very fond memories at that time. You know, like 3 years prior to the whole expedition, and looking on the internet, reading through all the blogs and expedition portal, and looking at the classifieds, and I mean, it was like my obsession, as Abigail calls it. And yeah, I knew I wanted 4x4. I wanted to go anywhere, and I was watching the expedition portal classifieds, and one day there was my Dodge Ram that I've always wanted anyway, a diesel, Cummins diesel, and with the camper on the back, all aluminum, and yeah, so. And it was in Phoenix. It was as if it was like
All
okay.
the stars aligned.
Oh yeah, and I called up my buddy Roland and asked him to go and check it out, and he gave me the go ahead, and we wired the money unseen, and
What he's not telling you is that this was 18 months before we were starting our trip.
oh
And I
yeah,
thought, you're mad, you're crazy.
Oh,
How can
yeah,
we possibly do this? But, it's blind faith.
oh yeah, you gotta,
We just did it. And
yeah, we did it.
the
Yep.
very first time we saw it, I was pregnant with Zoe, and I was kind of like going through the nesting period and getting it ready because that was going to be our new home. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was exciting, very exciting. We had a long list of things, we wanted
that
to change and upgrade and all, and yeah, so we did it, and it was all about this trip from then on out.
that's so cool. Abigail, you mentioned nesting upgrades.
Yes.
What did you end up doing that you think that was influenced by you being pregnant at the time?
Well, yeah, I remember very clearly it was Christmas Day. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I just went in with a bucket of soapy water because it was the previous owner had left it in such a mess. He had own dogs and there was dog hair everywhere, and I was like, I cannot live here. I have to clean this up. And we started making plans to change our interior. And yeah, so I mean, that was a vivid memory for me. And then obviously we went back to Switzerland for the next sort of 10 months to have Zoe and, my baby shower list was like a foldable bathtub and a clip-on high chair, just that sort of thing.
Yes, yes, the must-haves, I get it.
Yes.
So then what is a typical day on the road like, especially with the slow travel?
All right. Well, typical days, getting up not too early. I did that for too many years. I never liked it. So I get up at 8 or 9, depending on.
Maybe even 10.
No, it's between 8 and 9. Let's, yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, and then we have our 2 coffees and get breakfast. And yeah, the mornings are usually very slow. And we enjoy the mornings. I might do a bit of work. I'm a photographer, so I always have a bunch of photos to edit. And Abigail plays with Zoe. And around midday, if we have a driving day, if we don't stay the day, we drive off to our next destination, maybe at 1 o'clock or so. And yeah.
I think the reason why we started to do 12 o'clock sort of departure time was because Zoe has never really enjoyed driving. Ever since she was a newborn, she's hated strapped in the car seat. So we would always sort of time our drives in the early days with her nap. She would be asleep for say 2 hours, and then the entertainment would begin. So we that's just sort of directed our daily rhythm to this day, right?
Yeah, and it worked out well with my photography, because then we would drive and the light becomes nice and soft after 4. And I would take pictures from 4 till 6 or 7. Oftentimes we arrive at dark and set up camp on driving days. And yeah, that's kind of my workflow with the photography too. And I like that, because if you drive off at 10 in the morning, you hit the hard slide around midday, and yeah, that doesn't make the good photos.
No, I know even we stop every once in a while because the scenery is just outstanding.
Yep.
But as a photographer, do you have any of those moments where you just stop, and you stop everything, stop the car, and just take photos?
Oh, I
All the
stop.
time?
I stop all the time. I like. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, we stop a lot and grab my camera and take pictures, and we drive off again and stop again, and yeah.
And every time he stops, Zoe goes, "Can I get out of my chair?" Like, no.
Now we know why it's taken 4 years to get to Bolivia.
There you
Exactly,
go.
exactly, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. So then, how about initial challenges along this journey? Have you had any hiccups?
Oh, we had a few hiccups. I mean, there was the pandemic, like 3 months after we set off, which was a huge hiccup. Of course, we initially wanted to go to Canada and Alaska too, but that was kind of out of the picture by then. So we had to change that plan, and noticed that plans never really work out. So we're just go with the flow. Anyway, it worked out well. We stayed about a year and almost a half in the States. We extended the visa officially for the States, because initially they gave us a year. And then we went to Phoenix to my buddy Roland, and extended on a official office, and it was pending. And then we went to Mexico eventually, like a year and 5 months later. And on the border, the U.S. Border Patrol put us in jail for 2 days, because they thought we overstayed and almost deported us and took away our truck. And it was like
The biggest hiccup.
that was the biggest hiccup of our lives, I guess. That was not fun, but we made it out there, and we're still on the road, so all is well.
Yes. So, yeah. Talk about a hiccup.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else was minor.
That's one of my biggest fears. Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears, is having a border issue that
Oh yeah.
turns into like jail time or whatever the situation is. I'm sure some listeners right now are like, I want to hear that story.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about that story a bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Well, the issue was, it was not all. Okay, it was Southern California, Mexicali, well, Calexico. So we went over the border, and went straight to the Mexican side because you don't really have. That's not like all the other borders in the U.S. You just drive over the out of the country and then you go to the Mexican side and get your visa there. Anyway, we did that, and then the Mexicans didn't want to give us a tip, a temporary import for the truck, because they said, well, we have a 3.5 ton limit here for vehicles because we're not an RV. We're a pickup truck with a truck camper. So they didn't want to give us a tip. So they said to us, well, maybe if you take the other port of entry out of town, you might get a tip because that's where the trucks go. So they send us back. They turn us around and send us back into the US. And we didn't really think on the spot. It was COVID. It was our visa that was still pending and all, and they sent us back, and we kind of it dawned on us, or yeah, when we were queuing up on the other side again, and to go back
Years.
into the U.S. and then the border officers, they just couldn't find the visas, the stamps, and they saw how long, and they didn't believe our story, whatever, and then half an hour later, I was in handcuffs, man, and we couldn't even call anybody. It was bad. It went from all bright and sunshine to, oh man, that day went sour real quick.
Yeah, I bet. Wow.
So the
And how long did it take to get it all resolved and they're moving again?
52 hours, 7 minutes, and 40 seconds. I
Wow.
count them. Man, it was like worst time of my life. Yeah.
I mean, if we have some
Ah,
advice,
yeah.
listeners, it's like just get things written down on paper, because we had done everything officially to get our extension granted, but nothing was delivered to us in writing actually until we got into
Yeah.
Mexico. So just you get things in paper when it's
Yeah,
involves
well,
the USA,
it's like their system is in shambles, of
yeah.
course. I mean, why would they leave us in limbo for such a long time? And they had to admit that eventually that was still pending, and we got it granted like maybe a month after we got released in Mexico. They said, "Yeah, you're fine," even though we only asked for like half a 6 month more, and they granted it like 8 months
Yeah.
later. So
It's a shambles.
Wow.
Just don't apply for an extension in the
no,
Yeah.
US.
it was bad. It was really bad because
Yeah.
we almost lost the camper and they
Mhm.
deported us. They said to us at one point, "Well, it's either we pay the ticket, the air tickets for you, or we or you, and you got to fly wherever you want, but you got to get out of this country." And then I asked them, "Well, what's going to happen to the vehicle?" And they said, "Well, you're not going to see that again." So that was the option. I said, well, that's not what we're. No, no, no. And so yeah, I kind of we have a blog. So I eventually I said to the guy behind the counter, well, how about you look at our, because they didn't believe our story. They really thought we were illegal immigrants. So
Oh, yeah.
I said to him, well, take a look at our website. We're travelers. And that guy wasn't the meanest of them all. The other guys were all very mean. They were not nice people. So he started to believe our story a little bit. And yeah, from then on, it went a little better. But yeah, we really had to
Uh-huh.
put our foot down and tell them, well, you
So
got
the
to check
blog
back.
saved you.
Yeah, the
Yep.
blog saved us a little.
Meet around the world.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
travelers out there, think about this. Document your travels. A travel blog can save you in different ways than just financially.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
That is crazy. I'm sure there's so much more you could unpack there. You could probably write a whole book about that whole incident.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, well, it's been published on
everybody's
the
bet.
Overland Journal. It's been printed, and that story.
That's
And
awesome.
you can find it on Expedition Portal as well.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that was
There we go.
probably the
There we go.
biggest
So
hiccup we had.
yeah. Wow. So yeah, anybody wanting to hear the whole story, read about the whole story, check out Expedition Journal and the Overland. You said the Overland Journal or Overland? What was it?
Overland Journal and Expedition Portal. They're the same family, the same
Well, one is
organization.
printed,
Oh,
the
perfect.
printed magazine, and the other one's the online version. Yeah.
Mhm.
There we go. Very good. All right. Well, let's let's pivot to hopefully something a little bit more fun then.
Of course.
You've got the young one in tow.
Mhm.
You got the young one in tow. So how do you homeschool, world school? I know you guys like to call it road schooling. It can be daunting. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, Zoe's now 4.5, so we're not giving her books or anything. But I'm a primary school teacher and I have expertise in the early years, so it comes natural to me, so I'm very lucky. But I started an account
Yeah.
on Instagram called Road School Around the World because I thought, whoa, she's learning so much by traveling on the road. So I'm just going to show the world, whoever's interested, how she learns that way. So it can be from like when you have your photo taken by the 70th sign, by those letters, those, like, I think there's one of David, right, in Panama. And,
Yep.
she's recognizing letters. You're saying, which letter are you going to stand by? Just things like that. You, we're on the beach and we're doing maths with hermit crabs, because she's trying to collect them all and make a house, but then 3 of them crawl away, and it's like, okay, you had 6, take away 3. How many have you got left? It just comes naturally. And right now we're doing a big, huge thing on dinosaurs because we went to see the longest track of footprints at the Parque Cretáceo in Bolivia, in Sucre.
Yep.
And it's transformed her world, hasn't it? She's just like,
Oh, she's the biggest dino fan
yeah.
in the world now.
And I never imagined a girly girl who's
Yes.
into princesses could know what a pteranodon is and how long a T-Rex is. And so we've been doing lots of math activities, actually getting the measuring tape out and we call it gaffer tape. What's it called in American English? Just big tape, and measuring how long a T-Rex is.
Oh,
And we're making rock sculptures of a T-Rex's head, and I'm getting her to use little tiny rocks for teeth. And I'm saying, well, a T-Rex has 60 teeth. Let's count 60 teeth on there. It's just, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it.
that's awesome. Yes, kids learn in so many different ways. I'm always in amazement about these these road school kids and how much that they know compared to just people who are in a normal lifestyle that are learning the standard curriculum. They know a lot, but they don't know a lot about all these other subjects, such as all. I mean, seeing those tracks right up front in person must be
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
So
Footprints,
I bet
fossilized.
Richie, I bet you've got a ton of photographs.
Oh yeah. No, I believe that kids learn so much more from the real world, and traveling. And I've met that. I've seen that firsthand with friends' kids. After 2 years of traveling with the sailboat, they came back to Switzerland and re-entered the school. They were way ahead. They were really like they spoke 2 languages fluently, and it was like transform. It was really eye opening, really.
Yeah. These kids that Richie's talking about,
So
in Switzerland, you have to take an entry exam if you've been away, and they were way higher,
Oh
weren't
yeah,
they? Their
oh yeah.
results were way higher, and
No, and it's. I mean, it makes sense,
proof,
right?
living proof.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, makes sense. So you're living on a sailboat like they were.
Hmm.
You learn a lot. You have to grow up a lot too, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very cool. Well, another question that comes up often with people that I traveling is finances. So, how do you fund this lifestyle?
Okay. Well, we have saved up, and we're still living off our savings, which will come to an end in about maybe a year or so. Uh, we are looking to make some money on the road. It's not that easy for us. I don't know. I don't, we've not had jobs before, like digital nomad jobs, creating websites and whatnot. I was a
Mhm.
photographer on the side. I had my own studio, but you still, if you have a studio and make portrait photography, you can't do that on the road so easily. You got to sell your landscapes, and that's not easy either. So yeah, we're struggling a little bit with that. But, if it's 5 years in total and then we have to find another way of another lifestyle, that's cool too. And if we make it work and keep on traveling, that's cool. And we could see, I mean, we have some ideas and maybe that might not keep us on the road for a while, but maybe we find a job in a different city in South America. Abigail was a teacher in international schools in New Zealand, in London, in Switzerland, so she might get a job in Buenos Aires or somewhere else, and we might do a year or so there, and then I don't think we're gonna go back to the same old lifestyle we had before. I cannot imagine that. So
We're seeing this trip as an investment, aren't we? We
exactly.
have ideas like I would like to write a road school around the world book, but full-time mum with Zoe, it's going very slow. I just think,
Yeah.
At the end of our
Yeah.
trip, we can put all this
Yes.
to reality and
I guess
maybe
it's.
make some money from it.
I guess it isn't or wasn't until now so much about being able to work and make it sustainable on this trip. It was more about the trip itself and make this trip a
Yeah.
trip of a lifetime. And me with my photography, I always take pictures and edit them. We have a small YouTube channel, and we're always busy doing something. But it's about the trip, and if somebody invites us going fishing, we always say yes, and we always we love a good party and meet up with other people. So that always comes first, and so
And the
that's.
skills that you're learning as an adult along the way are just
Oh, absolutely.
phenomenal.
We learned a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah.
So, how many languages do you guys know now?
Well, Richie knows a heck lot more than I do. I'm on like 2.5.
Well, I speak German.
Okay.
Yeah, I speak German, English. I speak a little bit of French. That we had to learn that in school in Switzerland. I understand Italian, and now I speak.
He speaks very good Spanish.
I speak a
Yes.
little bit of Spanish. Yes, exactly.
The Americans listening are like blown away because the majority of Americans only speak English. Even though we learn another language in school, it's very difficult to retain it because we don't use it very often.
Yeah,
Type
it's such a
situation.
big
So
country. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
yes.
the
So
Brits are like that too. I say that they're lazy because, because you can get away with just using English all around the world.
Yeah, you don't have to
It's a
need.
universal
Yeah,
language, so why would you need to learn a language really?
exactly. In Switzerland, you drive for an hour and a half, and they speak French or Italian.
so you got to pick it up quick in Switzerland for sure.
Yeah, you have coworkers in your company that
Well,
speak another language, so yeah, you have to.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Well, what are some of your biggest tips, strategies, things like that that might help some of these families who are considering doing what you're doing, overlanding?
Okay. Well,
Do it.
yeah, just do it. It
Do it.
sounds simple, but if by buying our vehicle unseen, you just gotta put faith in your dream, in your vision, and not be crazy, but just do do your first step. Maybe set a date or whatever. Live your dream eventually, and don't care so much about your retirement fund and whatnot the government tells you. Just live your life here
I'll
and
leave.
there, right? And if this is your dream, traveling like it is for us, then go for it.
And we can do this on our savings, like you find ways to be frugal. You go and wild camp. You camp where you don't have to pay any
Yeah.
fees. You have your solar panels so you can pay for your electricity. You go to the gas station when you gas up. You say, can I have water for my tank, please? And you just,
Sure,
it doesn't have to be expensive.
well, it's not a cheap venture. If I mean, we drive a big truck, and it's not like cheap, but it's definitely cheaper than living at home. That's for sure. You don't pay rent or all
Yeah.
these insurances and whatnot, and you don't fly out on vacation every year once for like I don't know how many thousands of dollars. Yeah, it is cheaper, but still you need a bit of money. Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
savings.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a good
Yeah.
investment.
So yeah, you take that saving. Take the savings, use it to invest in yourself. I mean,
Hmm.
I like what you were getting at there. I mean, when you have your retirement, you're gonna be old and hopefully
Yeah,
your back still works, but I don't know about you,
exactly.
but
Exactly.
That's
I have
probably
mornings where I wake up too stiff.
yeah. No, that is probably also the one of the best advice. I mean, don't wait until you're retired because I don't know, not probably not most people, but many people, can't do it anymore when they're like 65 or 70 years old, and it's probably not going to be the same experience. It's yeah, I think you'd rather do that a little earlier in your life if you can. Because everybody's lives are different, but
Don't wait till your kids have gone to university, because this is the time to actually not miss out on those
yes, I
milestones.
think probably the best time to do it
Yeah.
even. Yeah, it's really cool to see your kids grow up, and especially as a dad, that's phenomenal, as you
Yeah.
well know.
And we've not had to pay for childcare.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
I've not
No,
had to send Zoe to daycare, to go to work, to earn money. We just get to enjoy every minute with her and watch her grow,
oh yeah,
and not
it,
have to pay someone else
Yeah.
to do that.
and we bond. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, perfect time.
Yeah. The family bonds in an overlanding vehicle have to be pretty tight. I mean, you're in a close space for most of the time. Well, do you ever feel like you have to have some alone time? I know you're sitting next to her right now, Pam.
Now, of course, yeah, and
There you
sometimes
go.
it happens, but it's like sometimes you meet up with other travelers, and then the boys go out for
Yeah.
a drink, or
And the
and it's
mums.
healthy, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good, but it doesn't happen that much, and but it's okay. I'm fine with it, and sometimes Abigail's playing with Zoe outside and in the river, and I'm inside and doing my own stuff on the
Mhm.
computer, and yeah, but
I think our routine, as we mentioned earlier, helps. That we'll get up, we'll have breakfast, but then Zoe and I will tend to just leave the camper and we're just outdoors and we're doing our learning. And Richie's sat in editing his photos, doing the YouTube videos, and that helps. As Richie says, there are times when
Yeah.
we meet other travelers, and that's really lovely because then we can sort of go off and socialize with other
or
people. And,
locals, yeah,
yeah, or
yeah.
locals, yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because yeah, meeting people from all around the world, whether it's a local or another traveler from another land. I mean, that's how we met each other in the first place.
Exactly.
It makes for some makes for interesting friendships from people on different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's wonderful,
So
and you
I
keep in
love that.
touch. It's even though you don't see each other for maybe a year or two, but you keep in touch, and
Hmm.
it's beautiful.
We actually met
Yeah.
up with a guy in Costa
So
Rica who has half a home in Costa Rica and half a home in in Lima, and so we were able to go visit him again.
Oh
It's
yeah, we
just,
have many of these
yeah, it's
stories.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. N- Now every country seems to have its own unique charm, and you said you've been to what 16 now?
13 in on this trip.
Hmm.
Yeah.
13 on this trip. So
Yes.
can you tell me like what are your top top 5 places that you've visited on this journey and why they make your top 5?
Okay.
Well,
Start with Antigua.
yeah, Guatemala.
Guatemala. Yeah.
Yeah,
Antigua, Guatemala was one of our favorite cities. Yeah.
because I'm guessing you've been to Antigua in Guatemala. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you've got this lovely old colonial town with ruins from earthquakes. You've got 4 volcanoes that surround it, where you can hike up one,
Perfect climate.
sleep up there, and watch its neighbor erupt every 15 minutes. That's Acatenango.
Yeah.
And then you can toast marshmallows on another volcano. So yeah, that is definitely. We stayed in Guatemala for 5 months because we loved it so much.
Yeah.
We made friends
Oh yeah.
there. Zoe went to daycare in Antigua. Yeah, that just is definitely number one.
We had a goodbye party with 35 people.
The 35 locals.
And a whole home fit.
Wow.
So yeah,
Kind of felt like home. Yeah, and of course the rest of
Wow.
Guatemala with Tikal, the Mayan
yeah,
ruins.
it was a special country. Yeah, very good.
Beautiful lakes,
Yep.
the seaside. Yep.
Yep. Well,
Oh.
number 2 would be the Baja, California.
Okay, I've never been. Tell me about Baja. Why?
Desert, sea life.
Oh, yeah.
Once Ritchie crashed his drone in the Sea of Cortez, and which was very unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
But as I was trying to find it, 2 schools of dolphins were swimming under and over me, some pilot whales. It was just incredible. Like that is what you see.
Yeah.
You're
Wow.
just looking for a drone,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all this wildlife comes.
Fishing is great.
We touched grey whales, didn't we?
We
on
did.
a boat tour.
We did, yeah, in a little nutshell out in the ocean, and these big, huge whales coming up to your boat.
And
Oh,
performing their tricks.
yeah. No, it was. We spent 3 months on the Baja, California. It was great. It was really beautiful.
And Ritchie really likes deserts and cacti and dry climate, and there's a lot of that on the north and well, the whole of the peninsula.
Yeah, we
really.
made friends in La Paz, and it was a absolute one of my favorite. Yeah, and it's pretty unique, in the world, and not too many people go there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of Americans and Canadians, but from Europe, it's pretty unknown, really.
That is interesting. Okay, so that's number 2. What do we have for 3?
What do we have for 3? Well, I like the Wild West in the States, of course. My favorite state is Idaho, and then Arizona, and so I love it there, and
Idaho's my hometown.
oh, beautiful! I love Idaho.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Fishing I think you'll ever find is in Idaho.
Oh yeah,
Fishing,
I bought my fly fishing rod in Boise.
Yeah, my dad was huge into fly fishing. I didn't do fly fishing. I could never get into it. I'm a spinner guy. But
Yeah,
it's hard, right?
like my buddy in Idaho, he when we go fishing, he says, "Well, that's like shooting with blanks, man." And then he pulls out a big
that's a
bass
good
out of the
analogy.
side
All
of the
right.
river. Yeah. So he proved his point.
Yeah. He did. Number 4. What do we have for number 4 then?
I really liked Nicaragua. I liked. We were only there for 2 weeks. And we went sandboarding on the Cerro Negro volcano. We saw in Messiah the Devil's Cauldron or whatever it was,
the lava.
The lava. Granada was cool, and just
it was just so much different, like
diverse. In 2 weeks, you just see so
much.
much.
And in some parts, like thrown back like 50 or more years, like ox and cart, and it was pretty cool.
Can we say Bolivia for number?
Bolivia. Oh yeah, as a photographer, absolutely Bolivia.
Number 5.
With the Salar de Uyuni and the lagunas, the Altiplano. It was, those landscapes, unbelievable.
The cable car system, the Teleferico in La Paz, amazing. And then you've got the jungle in Trinidad where you're seeing alligators and crocodiles and caimans.
And monkeys,
And monkeys. You're painting yourself with mud.
Yeah. We loved Colombia too. I think our greatest adventure was in Colombia. We drove all the way to the Venezuelan border to the Orinoco River, and the Orinoco River was that's probably my number 1 favorite spot to go fishing, and it was a real adventure. It was 1,000 miles of adventure on the worst roads possible and over log bridges, and communicating with indigenous people that sold you bow and arrow and guided you the way to. It was phenomenal. 3 weeks.
That sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
So then, what would you say then is the country that surprised you the most?
Probably Bolivia, right? No?
Well,
Something you don't really hear of. I didn't.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew about the Salarda Uni, and I've always wanted to go there, and it was like, yeah, a big dream coming true for me.
El
Surprising.
Salvador.
I think the food in Peru was to me a surprise, a very good surprise. I loved it. I ate like every other day. I had to eat ceviche. It's my favorite ceviche. And I'm a meat kind of guy, but that ceviche is really good. Yeah, and El Salvador, I guess, was a surprise.
Everyone told us not to go there because it's dangerous
Yeah,
and with its
wonderful
recent
people,
history.
wonderful.
Yeah,
They would stop in the middle
a motorway.
of a big city and honk and wave and invite you for dinner. It was wonderful. Yeah,
Wow, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah, so El Salvador was surprising for us as well. That people say don't go, but it was just amazing. People were great. Yeah.
yeah, amazing.
Well, on the flip side, have there been any difficult or challenging experiences other than crossing back into the U.S. border?
Oh yeah, sure, of course. I mean, not every day is
Bed of roses.
unicorns and rainbows or
I think
rain.
being stuck in the canyon, right, in Peru,
Yeah,
breaking
we
down.
had one breakdown and we're stuck for a week in the desert and low on everything. But it's the beauty of hospitality. People would help us. The mayor of the nearest town showed up and said, "I have trucks, so I'll pull you out." A few days later, and he did. And I probably struggled the most during the pandemic. It just didn't really sit well with me. I Then we were crossing into Mexico, got detained, and we when we got released, we didn't even say that. The next time we crossed the border into Mexico, we didn't even ask for a tip. We just wanted to go away from that border. So we drove all the way to San Felipe on the Cia Cortez on the Baja California without a tip, which is legal for an American
On the
vehicle.
Baja, only on the Baja.
But we wanted it for the mainland. You need it.
Okay.
So we didn't even know whether we can cross into mainland and get a tip in La Paz. So those 3 months were a little, on. I mean, we started looking for real estate and thought maybe we have to settle here now. Yeah, that was a bit of a strange time, but then we picked up once we were in mainland Mexico. It was all good. And then I had a bit of a hard time in Ecuador for, I don't know, it wasn't bad, but it was raining a lot. I had high altitude sickness. I didn't like it. In Quito, it was too high for me. Yeah, but that's minor. That just wasn't my favorite country, but we had wonderful experiences in the jungle. But, yeah, yeah. What about you?
It, it,
I think you've just sort of said them all, really. I mean, like,
Yeah, there's
obviously.
not much really. We
Yeah.
enjoy every country. We had wonderful time and made friends everywhere.
yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
There are times when you're naturally low. You
Oh,
have your
I
low
guess
days.
I got a good one. Abigail gets homesick
Yeah.
sometimes, so she had to go back after two
Uh-huh.
years. We were in Mexico City, thereabouts, and so Abigail and Zoe went home to England for 2 weeks, and I stayed behind. I don't suffer from homesickness, but Abigail does every now and then. So
Yeah. It's normal. I think as a mother as
Yeah,
well.
it's normal. It happens sometimes. Yeah. And I mean, thankfully we have planes and ways of moving around and traveling. So,
sure.
well, now you've mentioned this several times about your blog. So, as it meets around the world, as the name suggests, you are quite the foodie, especially when it comes to meat.
Yeah, we
Uh,
love food.
can you share some of your unique culinary experiences that you've had with your travels?
Well, mostly in Ecuador.
Sure.
The one that surprised him. The
Well,
country.
yeah, but I mean, if you mean those, what was it?
Mamones. They're like
They're
maggots.
like big, huge, giant maggots from the
Oh,
jungle.
yeah.
They put them on a skewer and grilled them. I wouldn't call this meat, but it was surprisingly good. So we eat everything that comes our way
Uh-huh.
and that local traditions are, and we always ask for local cuisine. And in Colombia, we ate like what was it in Antioquia? The guts, the
intestines.
intestines, cow intestines, and grilled, and
And we've tried
blood sausages, and
guinea pig. We've done.
oh, guinea pig we've done about twice.
Zoe loves it.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves that too. She's a meat eater too. She loves it.
A little bit. It was thin and hard to eat.
You
Well,
just didn't
the
have
thing
it
is,
cooked right.
yeah. So in Ecuador, in the Andes, we had it grilled, and that was good. That was really good.
And they stuffed it with chives.
Yeah.
And it was really delicious.
And then in Peru, we had it again, but it was fried. And I didn't like it so much fried because it kind of had that rodent kind of. It was not very nice. But grilled is nice. It's got like it's like a little pig. You know, it's got a crackling skin. That was good. So yeah, that was guinea pig. What else did we
tried
have?
alpaca.
Oh yeah,
that was not very nice.
I like
Well,
alpaca.
no,
Yeah.
we pulled over at the side of the road, 4,000 meters above sea level, in the Andes Mountains in Peru, and there was these guys shearing alpacas, the whole family. And I took pictures, asked if I can take pictures, and we stuck around for maybe an hour or so, talked with them, and then it was lunchtime, and they invited us for lunch, and they gave us each plate, and it was a mixture with rice and vegetables and some alpaca meat. But the alpaca meat was a bit, I don't know, strange in a way. I don't know what it was, which part of the animal. I had it again. I had it again in Aguascalientes, where Machu Picchu is, in a restaurant, and that on a pizza, and it was good. That was good meat. So, yeah, alpaca. Oh, we had frog legs in Ecuador. They were delicious. Oh yeah, they were delicious.
How'd they compare to France? Did you ever have them in France?
Yeah, I did. I did. Yes, of course.
How'd they compare?
Well, similar.
Ooh.
It's like a
chicken.
It's like chicken wings, but softer, like suave. What tender, more tender. Yep.
And Zoe loved those too.
Oh, they were really good. Yeah. So that in Guatemala we had opossum. Yeah, we grilled an opossum
with a local.
Yeah, because that's what they do there sometimes, and that was just for me. I wouldn't do it again because there was not enough meat on the bone. It was just a bit too skinny. But it was fun. We had a party. Yeah. What else did we eat? Strange stuff.
Richie cooks meat in his engine bay.
Oh yeah, all the time. I wrap up a big piece of pork and I tie it to the engine. Then we drive 10 hours and then I pull it. It's
pulled pork.
Oh yeah, it works. Did that a few times, or ribs. Yeah.
He's currently making beef jerky on our roof.
Yeah, as we speak, making beef jerky on the rooftop. We're in the Atacama Desert, driest place on earth. So I thought, why not? I did it again. I did it before in Arizona. What else? Oh, in Guatemala, we grilled 3 whole hogs in those 5 months, and 2 of which my buddy and me, we went to the local butcher in a town in the jungle and asked for like live pigs, and then we were scouting every farm in the region to get 2 little piglets, bought them alive, and then we slaughtered them on the campsite. And
we fed a Guatemalan
and we
village.
fed a whole Guatemalan village, like 50, 60
for a
people.
charity. Yeah.
So
Mountaintop Promises was the
And
charity.
that was a fun event. Yeah, stuff like that.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. It sounds like you have a lot of fun adventures with locals while you travel.
Yes, we do. Yeah, that's true.
Do you actively seek out those types of adventures with locals, or is it something you just find yourself stumbling upon because you're driving?
Yeah,
the latter. Yeah, it comes very naturally.
It comes very natural. We're all outgoing people here in this family, and sometimes you just see somebody, roll down the window and greet, and
we're not very stealth like our camper.
Yeah,
stands
people
out.
approach us, and
and we have meat around the world plastered on our camper, so people are naturally very curious. For example, with the charity work, we met 2 girls in a supermarket. They'd seen our camper, and then they started saying, "Oh, maybe you'd like to grill for our project." for the malnourished families that we work with. And we're like, okay.
Well, 2 months later, we
Yeah.
went back there and they said, let's do it. And so, of course, we love it. We love people. It's meat around the world is kind of a play with words, too. We love meat, but we also love to meet people. And
And Richie will always have the grill on. So
oh, yeah,
and
we
he'll
share meat.
share meat with locals. He'll just say, hey, you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
try this? And,
Sure. Like the Mexicans say, sharing food makes it even better.
I love that approach too, because it is. It's that family style, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. We got invited so many times. It's wonderful.
And you mentioned family, like Zoe, just going back to traveling with a kid, growing up on the road, being a baby, they are icebreakers.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in Mexico, families dote on young children. So they would just go up to her, they'd give her cookies, and, and then you end up meeting new friends. You make new friends. And
yeah. And now Zoe, she approaches every stranger she sees. She just runs off and just greets them.
That's what you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it took us 4 years to get here.
All right, now I thought we'd have a fun little lightning round.
Sure.
So you can both answer individually. Okay. Let's see how this
All right,
goes.
fire away.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
All right. Cat or dog?
None.
We don't really have any pets. So.
None.
Maybe a cat.
Yeah, I eat my animals.
All right. Animals beware. Stay away from the truck. Pool or beach?
Beach.
Yeah, we love
All right.
water. Absolutely, we love the beach. Every I don't know how every month or so we're hanging out in say the mountains, and it was we got to go to the beach. And then after a week, we're like, oh, I'm done with the humidity, with the heat, with the mosquitoes. Let's go to. But it always draws us back.
And now you're in the driest place on the planet. Yeah. Stay hydrated. Trust me, I couldn't get enough water while I was in the Atacama Desert.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Would you rather be able to understand and speak every language in the world, or be able to teleport anywhere at any time?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I think for me it's the language one, because I'm a bit of a control freak, a perfectionist. I want to be able to speak before I dare speak. But probably for you, Richie's the opposite to me. So you probably
it's that question. Of course, I love languages, so I'm probably in the same camp. I'd love to speak every language. I believe it's about around 4,000 these days. Yeah. Yeah, I love languages.
So many languages. All right. Now, imagine this. You get off the plane at your next destination, and you arrive into the zombie apocalypse. You're able to get to your bags. What's the first thing you would grab, and why?
Probably my old iPhone 6, because it's like my computer. It's everything. Like I do everything on it. So without that, I'm stuck.
All right, for me, it'd be my camera.
Okay,
That's it's a no-brainer.
All right, cool. Now let's do a little travel trivia to finish things up for today. Okay. You guys have a little bit of an advantage of this, having two brains.
You could just do Richie if you like.
What Central American country is known as the land of lakes and volcanoes?
Well, I thought El Salvador was the land of volcanoes.
Yeah.
Right? But
But it probably will be Nicaragua, right?
Yeah, got it. Nicaragua. Yes. It's got the dramatic terrains, lakes, volcanoes, and beaches. Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Yeah. All right. Can you name the ancient Mayan city located in modern-day Guatemala, which was one of the largest urban centers of the Mayan civilization?
Tikal. Yeah.
Yes, Tikal. All right. What is the official language of Belize?
English.
Mm-hmm. Not that we've been there. We've not been
that
to
makes
Belize.
It so much easier. Yeah. It's a bit expensive. It's got some nice beaches.
I'm sure.
But yeah, we found it a bit expensive at times. Yeah. All right. Which Costa Rican term translates to pure life?
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Yes.
Yeah, they say that every
plastered everywhere there.
No, it's like they say it 7 times in a sentence.
Yeah, it stands for everything.
But I love that theme. I love
Sure.
that theme.
Yep.
All right, and last one. What is the name of the world's highest navigable lake located at the border of Peru and
Lake
Bolivia?
Titicaca.
Titicaca means gray puma.
Yes.
Yeah,
That-
means great puma.
Gray Puma.
Yeah,
Very good.
Lake Titicaca.
Do we get a bonus point for
Yes.
that?
All right, bonus
Thank
point.
you,
There you
thank
go. Love it, love it. So, yeah, you've been a lot of places so far. So, on our way out, what is the last piece of advice you would give to families who are thinking of embarking on a similar journey overlanding across Americas?
Okay, buy a truck and go.
Don't listen to the negative.
Buy a truck and
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Some people will say, "What? You're traveling with a baby?"
Oh yeah, we had to hear a lot of, if we're crazy and whatnot. But
As Richie always says,
you have one
there
life,
are kids all over the world. So
and with the
what
kid,
have you got to
yeah,
fear?
there is always many reasons why not to do it. But if you want to do something like that, do it, plan it, and make it work. And
Don't listen to the media.
Yeah.
It's it's a lot safer than people think.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. I mean, even people here, we arrived in every country. People go, oh, "Where have you been?" And then you tell them, and they go, "You drove through Central America," and yeah, of course, it was no problem. How was Mexico? It was. We had a wonderful time in Mexico. Sure, it's. I mean, if you're on the wrong spot in the wrong time, even at home, bad luck. But actually, it's safer than you think.
Yeah, I think overlanders can bust a lot of myths that people generally hear in the media. Because, yeah, it's not always, you're not going to get kidnapped. You haven't yet.
No, well, by the government, yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the one time. Yeah, the one time there. But that's not what you would hear that's not what you would hear in the media.
No,
So stop it.
Exactly.
But no, so yeah, that's great piece of advice. I mean, don't listen to all the hype out there. Go and do it. Buy yourself a truck and just get out on the road.
Yeah.
Love it. So
You can do smaller trips.
small trips. Yeah, small trips are great too.
Yeah.
You don't have to be crazy like the three of us here and drive the entire of Americas.
And then on to Africa.
Yeah, is that the next goal?
Well, that's my
next
next dream. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I do know one person who's planning on doing that drive, going from the south of Africa and up. I think it would be cool, but I don't know the logistics of it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be harder.
It's harder. Yeah, but doable. Yeah.
People are doing it.
It's doable. It's definitely doable. Yes, they are. Very cool. Well, I appreciate both of you all being here again.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
So, thank you very much for giving us an inside look as to what it looks like on life on the road, from the ups to the downs, back and forth, the financial part of the traveling, homeschooling, road schooling as you call it. These types of experiences are very important for folks out there to hear as they make their decision whether or not they're going to do it, or some people who might be listening that are on the road right now feeling down and wanting that piece of advice. You guys have been doing it for 4 years and are inspiration to people that are looking to do this type of thing, that it can be done and you can continue to do it. So to those listening out there, remember, the world is it's a book.
Yeah.
It is.
And those who do not travel only read one page of that book, as the saying goes.
That, yeah, that's true.
So until next time, everybody, keep exploring, stay curious. Tune into the next episode for conversations with other folks here on this podcast. So safe travels, everyone. Ritchie, Abby, have a very safe travel, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Likewise. Yeah. Say hi to everyone.
Thanks for having us.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey, before you go, can you do us a huge favor? If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and drop a comment on our YouTube channel. Your feedback helps us create more content that you love. Thank you for your support.